Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Vivillion card from the upcoming Forbidden Light expansion. And this one's pretty interesting for a few reasons. One of them being, we've got a pretty fancy evolution mechanic going on. Now, the translation for Vivillion itself comes from the lovely Antoine Boulay, who we know by now is very much a lovely man. But before we get to that, we need to look at Scatterbug. Now, there are a couple of Scatterbug coming in this particular set. The first one, translation, comes again from the lovely Antoine Boulay. It's got 30 HP. Now, 30 HP means you're just gonna get KO'd straight away by a Buzzwole. Like, even if you're sitting on the bench, you're gonna get KO'd by the residual damage from a Jet Punch. This is very, very bad. Not a fan of this at all. But there is a second Scatterbug coming in Forbidden Light. Translation for this one comes from pokebeach.com. And this one's a lot more interesting. I would say, with a fair degree of certainty, it is the better of the two Scatterbugs. And for just a single grass energy, you can flip a coin, and if heads, you search for a Vivillion and immediately evolve Scatterbug straight up. Now, it's got 40 HP, which fixes the 30 HP problem, though is still pitiful, like proper job pitiful. But other than that, this is really nice. Now, you can of course use Victini to take that 50% chance of turn 1 evolution, turn it into a 75% chance of a turn 1 evolution. But this isn't waiting 2 turns to evolve. This isn't waiting 1 turn and using a rare candy to miss the second turn. This is, you go second, turn 1, you attach an energy, flip ahead, and all of a sudden you've gone straight past Pupa all the way into a Vivillion. So, straight off the bat, we've got reasons to play Vivillion other than the attacks, because all the attacks get magnified in terms of usefulness by this evolution mechanic. So, if we have a look at Vivillion, it is a grass Pokemon, which means if you really want, you can use the promo Lurantis to do a little bit of extra damage, 20 extra damage per Lurantis. But no one's playing this promo Lurantis. That's not to say you can't. You can, but no one's really playing it. Similarly, you can use Vivillon GX to skip a whole bunch of evolution lines using the GX attack. But then again, nobody's playing Vivillon GX at the moment. It's a fantastically exciting card. You just get to evolve all of your bench basic Pokemon into stage 1s. But nobody's using it at the moment. Of course, that is another great use for it here, because the Scatterbug that's got 30 HP can be evolved straight up using Vivillon GX, which is really, really handy, because then you don't have 30 HP Pokemon sitting on your bench. And this is good because it has pitiful HP and it doesn't have the lovely cheating evolution attack, but it does have an ability that says once per turn you can search for a Spupa and a Vivillion. So it means that if you use Vivillon to evolve them into a Spupa, you can already have 1 Vivillion in your hand for every Scatterbug which was on your bench the previous turn. You do hit weakness on Lycanroc GX, although to be honest, you're not really doing enough damage to actually fully take advantage of that. And similarly, you are hitting weakness against Greninja, but you're not actually hitting enough damage to take advantage of that either, unfortunately. Now, you are a grass Pokemon here, but Vivillion is also part flying type, and they have taken advantage of that, the card designers have, and they've actually given it the weakness and resistance of a flying type, just like we saw happen with Celesteela GX. So it's weak to lightning, which, I mean, Raichu's running around at the moment, that's a little bit viable. Nothing else really lightning type is at the moment. And it does mean you have a resistance to fighting, so as much as your bench Pokemon have low HP and are vulnerable to Buzzwole, once you get into a Vivillion here, you do actually get the advantage of the resistance to Buzzwole, meaning they're not going to do a huge amount of damage to you, which is nice. Retreat cost of 1 is also nice. It's low and the attack here is for 1 energy. But as with all of these, we need to know what it does. 50 damage for 1 energy is fine. It's not particularly exciting. But the defending Pokemon is asleep. That's pretty nice. They have to flip a coin before their turn or else they can't attack. And the defending Pokemon is poisoned, which means that they take 10 damage between turns as well. So actually this is a minimum of 60, and you could always push it up and up. So if you're looking at the poison, for instance, I always mention it, but it needs to be mentioned, you've got the option of Viper. Viper does an extra 10 damage between turns using poison. If you're in the expanded format, you've got Verbank City Gym, so you can actually add 20 damage to poison between turns. But no matter what format you're in at the moment, you don't have Forest of Giant Plants, which would be a lot of fun with this particular card. You do, like I say, get the extra evolution using Spupa, but I really do think that's a once per game or in an emergency kind of thing. I don't think it's something you can rely on every single turn, or else you'd never actually be attacking, and according to recent surveys, not attacking is a very bad thing indeed. Now 50 damage is low here. Even something like a Greninja, you hit for weakness, you do 100. Greninja takes that hit and isn't KO'd. This is all kind of a little bit annoying, to be honest. You're not doing enough damage. With the poison, you'd go up to 110. That Greninja still wouldn't be KO'd. You'd have to have 2 Viper on the bench. So you do 100 plus the 30 with the poison, and then they get KO'd. And at this stage, it all just starts looking a little bit awkward. I love an attack with automatic sleep, because that means your opponent's got a 50% chance of not waking up and then not being able to attack or retreat. And I love the automatic poison because it's extra damage. Extra damage is good, but 50 damage as a base just makes me a little bit worried. I just don't know that it's enough damage to really start making a dent. Now, the good news is at the moment, people aren't playing stuff like Comfy, for instance, to stop special conditions. But the bad news is every deck is playing multiple Guzma, which acts as a switch and will hence get around these special conditions. Similarly, not every deck, but a great many decks at the moment are playing at least one copy of Ace Roller, which allows you to pick up a damaged Pokemon and put it into your hand, which again is another way to get around these special conditions. So even though people aren't necessarily trying to stop special conditions at the moment, we're in a format where there's a whole bunch of cards which incidentally get around special conditions, even though that's not necessarily the point of the cards in the first place. And I suppose we have to come back to the point here that this is a Stage 2 Pokemon. Stage 2 Pokemon are worrying at the moment, because even though we've got a slightly slower format, we've got cards like Bridget, for instance, which we like to play a Tapu Lele on turn 1 so that we can search out the Bridget. That, in theory, slows the game down by a turn, but if we look at the Stage 2s that are really seeing a lot of play, it's stuff like Gardevoir. Huge damage and a good GX attack and energy acceleration. A lot of the format at the moment, we're looking at basic Pokemon like Buzzwole and Ho-Oh, and we are looking at Stage 1 Pokemon like Zoroark and Golisopod. And we're looking at really 2-hit KOs with a little bit of extra like Ace Roller, or we're looking at big 1-hit KOs. And Vivillion offers none of this. Now, the good news is it only takes 1 energy, which helps. But there's no energy acceleration to your other Pokemon. There's no great GX attack here. You're not getting big 1-hit KOs. You're not really even 2-hit KOing. I suppose against something like a Buzzwole with a Choice Band, 2 80s would be 160. And then, assuming they hadn't gotten out the active to turn off the poison, you do 10 after your turn, 10 after their turn, 10 after your turn, and then it does eventually add up to 190. But then it's just, oh, well, I hope they don't get out the active, and I hope my poison stays. And then it's just awkward. If a Buzzwole gets out the active, then you hit him for 80 with poison is 90. Then you hit him again, and then with a poison it's 90. And it's not KO because they've got 190 HP. And this is really where we come down with Vivillion. If we're in a format where we can take advantage of special conditions, I think this could be a very powerful Pokemon and could be in some good decks. But the format at the moment with Guzma, Ace Roller and so many 1 and 2 hit KOs running around, I don't think we're in a long, slow, special condition featured game kind of format. And for that reason, I'm going to sit here and give Vivillion between 2 and 3 Wassies. I don't think it's a bad card. I think we've had slower formats in the past where this could have been good. But I do think at the moment, this is not the format for it. But if you disagree, ladies and gentlemen, well, that's what the comment section is there for. Please go nuts, but remember the rule, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can find all of those. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.